The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you. Oh, wonders they say shall never cease to happen. What an amazing news. We are still following the story of the airport attack in Niamey. We heard that all in all, the Savior, the Protector, the Unifier, the Messiah, the King of Kings, the most loved, General Abdurrahman Chiani, coming out to tell us everything that happened. The people were behind. According to him, it was Ivory Coast, it was Benin. Finally, the Ivorian president or the government of Ivory Coast also came out with a communique denying the whole thing. But while they were denying, they also opened up something that is very shocking. According to reports, the Ivorian government confirms that the terrorists that attacked the international airport of Niamey were hidden in the plane Air Côte d'Ivoire. How come? You said you have no hand in that. So how did you know that the people who attacked the airport were hiding in Air Côte d'Ivoire? And we are going to see analysts analyzing this thing. Professor Franklin analyzes. And according to him, if the Ivorian authorities don't know anything about this attack, how did they know? Like, this is a question we need to ask the Ivorians, the Ivorian government. If you do not know, or if you are denying of any involvement in whatever General Abdurrahman Chiani are all in all put out to the world, how did you know that these people were hiding in Air Côte d'Ivoire? What intelligence did you use to gather that?
He admits when he says, if the terrorists were hidden in the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane, that therefore means that the terrorists were hidden in the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane. So, he knows. How does he know that the terrorists were hidden in the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane if the Nigerian authorities didn't say it? Whereas he is the spokesperson for the Ivorian government. It's because he knew that the operation was being prepared against Niger. You understand? But very simple reasoning. If the terrorists were hidden in the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane, it is not the fault of the head of state. I remind you that neither the President of Niger, His Excellency, Army General Abdurrahman Tiani, nor the Minister of State, Minister of Defense of the Republic of Niger, Army General Salifou Modi, neither of the two spoke about the content of the Air Ivory plane. The word Air Ivory did not appear in any of their communications. Neither the head of state, nor the number 2 of the CNSP, Army General Salifou Modi, neither of the two spoke about that. Who informs us about the content of the plane of Air Côte d'Ivoire? It is the spokesperson of the Ivorian government. That is to say that indeed, Amadou Coulibaly knew that they had put mercenaries in the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane to attack Niger, because the information comes from him. That is to say that he literally comes to feed the investigation, the Nigerian investigation. He comes to support the Nigerian investigation. He comes to reinforce the Nigerian investigation. You realize? Second, third sentence of the individual, which is reported widely on social networks. Our government has opened an investigation to discover how they had access to the plane that took them to Niamey Airport. There, he gives even more information. Amadou Coulibaly tells us that the terrorists had access to the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane, and he tells us that the Air Côte d'Ivoire plane transported the terrorists to Niamey. It is the spokesperson for the Ivorian government who corroborates the regime's involvement of Côte d'Ivoire in the coup in Niger. Because the terrorists, thanks to Amadou Coulibaly, we know it, finally, the terrorists were therefore in the plane, and the terrorists boarded the plane and were transported by the Ivorian National Airline. They were transported to Niamey. Well, it's not the first time. In 2022, terrorists, mercenaries, so-called soldiers, had been transported by planes from Côte d'Ivoire to Mali without Malian authorization. So, Amadou Coulibaly tells us, we have opened an investigation to discover how they had access to the plane. Well, they had access to the plane at the airport. They took off from Abidjan. That means it is you who checked and boarded these people on the plane. How they had access to the plane? Well, so, they had access to the plane, okay? And which took them to Niamey airport, so, in fact, you are responsible for the transport of terrorists. It is you who transported them, in fact, from Abidjan to Niamey. And that is a significant piece of information. So, if it is you who transported them from Abidjan to Niamey, we are not surprised by it. A few months ago, a group claiming to be from the Islamic State was seen holding a public meeting in Abidjan. Do you not remember? A video that went viral on the web, showing members of Al-Qaeda, members of the Islamic State in a meeting, in the middle of the city of Abidjan, who filmed themselves on video. Video that they published on social media. It is not from today that we know that Alassane Dramane Ouattara has made Ivory Coast the rear base, not only of NATO, not only the natural rear base of French neocolonialists, but he has made Ivory Coast the rear base of terrorist organizations that bloody the Sahel. That is not new. Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State walk freely in Abidjan. They walk freely in Ivory Coast by the will of Alassane Ouattara, who knows that they are mercenary organizations in the service of his bosses, the neocolonialists and the imperialists. On that there is no debate. So, on the other hand, where we are impressed is the degree of indelicacy, of imprudence, the degree of unintelligence of this pot-bellied individual, Amadou Coulibaly, who comes. In fact, President Faye did not even give all these details. Army General Salifou Moudi did not even give all these details. If it is not the caddy that President Niamey made them drink, if it is not really the African clarification ritual that affected them, what can lead that guy to give all these details as spokesperson of a government? Can he venture to validate ultimately details that are prohibitive for his government? If he is not inhabited by transcendent forces, except Raloui, our government has opened an investigation to discover how they had access to the plane that took them to Niamey airport. They give us two pieces of information. They were given access to the plane in Ivory Coast and they were taken to Niamey airport, which leads us to imagine the scenario. There were necessarily at least two groups to organize this attack. A group that was on site to manage logistics, motorbikes, etc., perhaps even the stockpile of weapons, and then a group that was transported by plane without weapons and that came, under false pretenses, to enter Niger. Once they entered Niger, they joined up with the group that had the motorbikes and weapons, and they started the attack. That is the scenario. That is the scheme that Amadou Coulibaly, spokesperson for Ouattara's puppet government, allows us to reconstruct. There are some idiots, there are some simpletons wandering around on social media asking how it is possible that they were on the plane, they entered the airport, etc. The Nigerian authorities did not see them, and it is only later that we say they were on the plane. It is very simple. They come with fake passports, as usual, with false motives, as usual. The civil and even police control of the Niamey airport not seeing in these fake passports and these fake identities. A particular problem lets them pass. They enter without weapons. The other group has the weapons. It has the motorbikes in ambush. And once they have joined up with the other group, they come to carry out the attack. We can reconstruct that.
It's like you are exposing yourself to the whole world. We need to understand as Africans that in this 21st century we are in 2026, the leaders that we have in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are far ahead of any other person. It's not like those of you in the democratically elected. Looking at the intelligence that Russia has provided for the Sahel leaders, whenever you are dealing with them, you just need to be extra careful. And then, our all-in-all General Abdurrahmani Chiani also told the whole world that they were able to neutralize this attack because of the intelligence that was provided by Russia. And for that matter, there is no way We expect Ivorian government to come out and be confirming to something when it is in actual sense trying to deny it. It's just the same thing that happened between Burkina Faso and then Nigeria, whereby Nigeria came out to watch their image only for Nigeria to now go back, and then we saw all that happened. And it's like the same thing that Ivory Coast is doing. Ivory Coast government is trying to make things look as if it never happened. No. This is just a cut-up story. By the end of the day, Ivory Coast is exposing itself to the whole world. We must understand that as Africans, if truly we are looking for our liberation, we need to work together. We need to stop policing other people. We must understand that we are the only people that can really set ourselves free. Even though we know that there are some people in Africa that are just not ready to fight for the liberation of the African. But we must not try to pull the population along with us. If you are not ready to make sure your people are free, don't make sure you mislead the people. Allow the people to choose their own will, where they want to belong. Either they want to continue to be slaves or they want to be free. Now, the reason to which a lot of us in Africa do not know what we are about is as a result of the leaders and the politics and the system of governance that we have. So when we hear the truth, because always we hear the lies, like someone said, the more a lie is spoken every day, the more it becomes a truth. The more it becomes the truth to other people. So we need to understand that in this life, we are the people who are not making sure we go far or who are not fighting to liberate ourselves. Because these people will never come to Africa to do something without passing it through some of us. And you get Africans who are crying, and just because we have this selfish interest, we take it, then we try to sell out our continent. But we don't ask ourselves, this peanut, for how long we can survive on this peanut? That has not always been the question the African asks. We think about today. How do I survive today? And it is a survivor of today in our mind. That is why people are able to capitalize on it. These people read us a lot. So they come and then they survey. They know what we think about. They know what we want. They know that as Africans, our priority is what is happening now. And that is why we have leaders who are only limiting us to their manifesto. If not, these our leaders would have had a national plan. If not, African Union would have had a developmental plan for the whole continent, that any leader at all that will come into office will pick something from it and do. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are being targeted simply because they are fighting for freedom, because they are not allowing France to continue to take the resources out of the continent, because they see that it is better for us to reclaim our sovereignty. And that is not going down well with other people, and we have our leaders and Africans helping these people to continue to suppress the African so that they can continue to enjoy. And you ask us, if truly we are serious as a people, enough. We have gone through a lot. And it's we, the black people, who are helping them to make us go through the same thing. It's painful. And we need to wake up. Because enough is enough. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, in Ivory Coast.